Mise-en-scène. Mise-en-scène is a French phrase which means to put into the scene or placing on the stage. This phrase is originally related to the arrangement of different things on stage in drama. In film studies, this term refers to everything connected to the visual component of a movie. One cannot comprehend the meaning of film just by analyzing its narrative content or the story. A film's formal properties, its visual ambience, its auditory track, and its editing choices also contribute greatly in the semantics of a film. These components are part of the material dimensions of the film. In the opinion of film scholar Amy Villarejo, it's in mise-en-scène that we often find palpable manifestation of the world of the film. Its feel, its attitude towards detail, its sense of its own reality against which we can measure its representations. In other words, mise-en-scène denotes the selection, arrangement, and ordering of objects that appear before the cinematographic camera. Each film is supposed to possess a distinct mise-en-scène. Similarly, each filmmaker has a different idea on the visual ambience of his film. Often, mise-en-scène projects the signature style of a particular filmmaker. In film studies, mise-en-scène comprises 6 elements: setting, lighting, acting, props, costume, and makeup. The learning objectives of this module are to understand the meaning of mise-en-scène, to identify the different elements of mise-en-scène, to comprehend the various aesthetic dimensions of mise-en-scène, to equip the learner to appreciate the visual component of a film. Setting. For a filmmaker, setting is the controlled environment in which the film shooting takes place. For the audience, setting is the place of action and movement and hence the crux of a film. It's not merely the backdrop of the action but a determining factor in film for the viewer. A film set in the midst of a battle zone and a film set in a pristine lake shore gives entirely different experiences for a viewer. Francis Ford Coppola's film Apocalypse Now, released in 1979, and James Cameron's film Avatar, released in 2009, generate an entirely different feel because of their distinctive settings. A change in setting affects the narrative and the overall feeling of the film. The Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa's Dreams, 1990, presents 8 short narratives taking place in 8 entirely different settings, and each set is in contrast to the other. When the set changes from the beautiful countryside to the outskirts of Mount Fuji, an erupting volcano, the viewer feels the set. Setting is commonly materialized in a studio or in location. The earliest films were the products of engineers' workshop and the setting was not so important. The emergence of studios changed the nature of the film because the camera and the film crew could work there easily. Outdoor filming is a risky job involving a lot of effort to make setting fit for the shoot, but the advancement of technology eases it now. The difference between the studio and the outdoor is obvious in early films, but indistinguishable in present films. These days, even the outdoor space becomes a befitting set for action. Robert Wiene made history in The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1920, by using expressionist sets known as distorted sets. Here is a short scene from that film. Film noir's dim and rainy cityscape and desolate interiors make the genre distinct with a unique setting. Italian neorealism made use of natural settings of cities and villages. The barren lands and impoverished villages in the films of Fellini, Rossellini, and others belonging to the Italian neorealism attain a character status. Horror films make use of deserted places, tunnels, and graveyards as settings for creating fear. Claustrophobic settings, as in the film Buried 2010, can make the audience feel trapped in a narrow space. Just watch a moment from The Buried. Remote locations and difficult terrains like polar regions are important settings for films ever since the days of Nanook of the North 1922. We get a different idea of setting if we watch Nanook of the North. Authors like Pasolini went across cultures for apt settings, as in the film Arabian Nights, and engaged cultural differences through the process. In a more philosophical understanding, setting is the time plus space of the film narrative. There may be a totally different identity for a location in a film. For instance, Costa Gavras' film Z 1969 has Greece as its real location, and France and Algeria are the real locations. The story location of Deepa Mehta's Water 2005 was Varanasi in India, but the film was shot in Sri Lanka.
पुरानी परंपराएं, अंधविश्वास सब टूट रहे हैं,
लेकिन जो अच्छी चीजें हैं उनको तो नहीं बदल.
Similarity in landscape, architecture, etc. can make the places appear this way. In the case of historical films and biopics, setting designers work hard to change the look of real places. According to Andrew Diggs, quote, whether expansive or narrow, magnificent or squalid, artificial or naturalistic, film settings compel our attention. They are not inert containers or backdrops of action, but are themselves charged with significance, unquote. Cinematic settings plays an important role in deciding the genre status of a film and also in suggesting the socio-economic and psychological status of a character. Lighting. Lighting in film can be natural or artificial. The early day studios made use of glass roofs and windows for lighting the shots naturally. Sun was the only source of light for the early filmmakers. The arrival of light-sensitive film stocks and more powerful electric lights changed the scenario. Rapid developments in lighting technology and cinematography have transformed the art of lighting day by day. Film might be understood as the shadow of shadow, as the surrealists argued, or as the art of lighting in this regard. Light is used in numerous ways in a film. Some shots are in bright light, while others are dim for creating a different viewing experience. Even a single strip of image may carry different levels of lights and shadow. The extent of illumination affects the total nature of an image, including its color. Basically, lighting setup is categorized into 3-point lighting, which involves a key light, a fill light, and a backlight. The key light, usually set at a 45-degree angle to the camera subject axis, focuses directly on the subjects, most likely the main character or object in the shot. It's the brightest light source for making the shot. The fill light is a softer light placed against the key light, and the fill lights cuts down on the shadows created by the bright key light. The backlight shines behind the subject or object, separating it from the background. In other words, it formulates the sense of depth in the shot. Backlighting sometimes forms a halo effect around the character's head, generally at the edges of the hair. Apart from three lighting styles mentioned previously, side lighting, under lighting, and top lighting are also generally used in films to create different mood and aesthetic effects. High key lighting and low key lighting, or chiaroscuro, are the two central lighting patterns followed in films. According to Andrew Dix, high key lighting tends to evoke a sense of clarity and optimism. Low key lighting evoke feelings of moral ambiguity, anxiety, and terror. The more inconspicuous the lighting, the more natural it looks, and the audience would take it naturally. Acting. In theatre, the actor performs in front of the audience, so he can feel the pulse of the audience immediately. And in response to audience reaction, the actor has an option to modify his performance. In films, the actor is deprived of the immediate presence of the audience. A cinema actor performs in front of the mechanical eye, that is, the camera. The camera positions, choices of lenses, selection of shots, lighting, decisions on color, etc. affect acting in cinema. In theatre, the whole body of the actor is on display. In films, an actor's body can be fragmented through close-up shots and extreme close-up shots. In theatre, an actor's performance has some sort of continuity with a beginning, middle, and an end. However, in films, acting is not done according to the development of the story. The final scene can be shot in the beginning of the shooting schedule, and the beginning scenes can be shot at the end of the shooting schedule. So, in film, the actor has to break up his acting into bits and pieces on the demands of the shooting schedule. Thanks to such fragmentary, piecemeal acting requirements in cinema, cultural critic Walter Benjamin says that a film actor has no aura like the stage actor, and the loss of this completeness creates the decomposition of the film actor's wholeness, pushing them often into existential crisis. The behavior of actors and other figures like animals and animated figures in the films also has to be understood in connection with acting.
For me, acting is, it's communicating something. It's like you communicate from, the writer to the audience or the director to the audience. So you are making things from abstract to concrete. So of course we have a lot of school of thoughts like Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra and or Stanislavski or Meyerhold or Lee Strasberg, Meisner or Bertolt Brecht. There are a lot of different thoughts and idea or school of thoughts are there. But for me, an actor, has to be connected with their own culture.
The story of the film is told using the body movement, gestures, facial expression, and the spoken words of the actors. Acting means any one of these actor behavior or all aspects of actor behavior. There are different acting styles or techniques like the classical acting style, the Stanislavski method, the Meisner method, and the practical aesthetic method. Classical acting style focuses on precision, control, and a greater adherence to script. Stanislavskian acting method focuses on creating more believable characters with the right emotions and body movement manipulations. In the Meisner method of acting, more spontaneity is demanded from the part of the actor. After understanding the emotional state and the physical environment of the character. In practical aesthetic acting style, the actors are required to put themselves in the mental stage of the character and then to perform as if they suffer what the characters suffer at a given point of time.
Acting, for me, is the representation of the different types of characters. Whether it's documentary or a feature film or a music video, the actor has to maintain the connection to the character. So, how to develop that? That we develop through research. That is our pre-production phase of acting, when we sit closely with the director and the script and we get to know about the nature of the character. So if it's a realistic character like the role of a doctor, then it is necessary to carry out the research by going to finding a doctor and seeing in real reality how is the reality of that profession of medical profession, being a doctor. So for the actor, it's very important to carry out the research part.
Acting styles evolve over a period of time. In the early era of films, we had a very dramatized overacting convention. However, at present, most of the actors act naturally or in a believable way. An actor is expected to consistently follow a particular acting style throughout a particular film. Otherwise, it will affect the coherence of the film. Props or properties. Select a few still images from films and have a close look at each and every object that is found in each image. These objects, distributed and displayed in the frame, are called cinematic props or film properties. Props are simply the objects that appear on screen. Like all other aspects, props are also largely linked to the socio-political, cultural milieu of the film. Props can indicate the periodical and cultural setting of a movie. It plays an informational narrative role in the film. There are two types of props in film: hand props and set props. A prop handled by an actor during acting is called a hand prop. These are also called action props. Any other object displayed in the set is called a set prop. Furniture, wall hangings, electric items, curtains, etc. are called set props. Prop expert Erich Hort distinguishes between hero props and background props. Hero props are meant to be filmed up closely. Background props are props that will only be seen in the background. There does not need to be any inherent difference between hero and background props, but to save money, background props are often made with less detail than hero props. Filmmakers have to do a thorough research in determining the props for genres like science fiction or epic movies. Placing a wrong prop in a scene can affect the credibility and continuity of the plot. Cinema has a tradition of giving materials a non-material meaning. For instance, a revolver shown in a movie can express the mood of the cinema, the motive of the character, and the tension of the scene. Props shown can add up to the realistic component of the film. The clarity and particularity of a prop shown in a film can bring appreciation to the brilliance in filmmaking. Leaving the material status, the props can achieve a symbolic position as well. Some films and some characters are identified with the props shown in the movie. For instance, the bullwhip of Indiana Jones in the movie series, beginning with Raiders of the Lost Ark, has attained a star status and qualities as a signature of the film and the cult character. Some props can become trendsetters and become popular than the movie. The statuette used in the film, the Maltese Falcon, the film noir movie, was sold for $4 million in an auction. The sword used by Bahubali in the Indian movie became the key point of virtual reality design released all over India in connection with the second part of the movie series Bahubali. This was released owing to the popularity of the weapon among the public, especially among kids, as a symbol of power and bravery. The magic shoes, ruby slippers worn by the character Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of the Oz, is displayed in the National Museum of American History. Here all the props have become a part of the cultural historical milieu of a nation rather than being simply an object shown in the movie. At times, replicas of filmic props have become part of popular culture, especially in the case of body accessories. According to Andrew Diggs, depending on the context, exactly the same object may be a thing valued for its concrete particularities or its narrative suggestiveness or its symbolic density. For example, a car in a frame can be an ordinary car, or it can be a car which ran over the child in the film, and if so, it has the symbolic meaning of death. Costume. Look at these characters from the recent Indian film. Can you identify the film? Of course, these are characters from the film Bahubali. Can you identify these characters? Would these characters look the same if their costumes and hairstyles are changed? As is the case with props, costumes can also signify the mood of a film. Costume refers to the garments and other body accessories worn by actors in a movie. Costume is one of the ways to read a movie text. It can allude to the temporal, spatial, and cultural setting of a film. In Andrew Diggs' words, particular garments index historical period, national origin, class status, subgroup affiliation, gender identity, emotional and psychological conditions, and so on. In addition, costumes on screen may encourage the spectator to make assumptions about the film's genre. The costume should balance with the color, mood, and pace of the film. It's according to the plot and the genre of the movie that the costume is designed. The colors, pattern, and design should convey the emotional situation of the character even without a dialogue. The costume designer has to conduct research and field visits for the selection of costumes. The costume should also signify the personality of the character, designed according to the place from which the character hails. The costume ought to match the genre of the movie and the period shown. The costume ought to match the genre of the movie and the period shown. It has to mirror the taste of the generation. Brassam and Monahan mentioned that although verisimilitude is a factor in costume design, there are other factors, that style, fit condition, patterns, and color of the clothing, that can also define and differentiate characters. The costume should not be unrealistic or extra dramatic, and should never fall apart from the movie. Again, there are costumes which have become more popular than the character or even the movie. Marilyn Monroe's white ivory cocktail dress from the movie The 7-Year Itch, designed by William Travilla, is one such. The dress attained an iconic status in popular culture and got appreciated in songs and got depicted in songs, postal stamps, statues, and Barbie dolls. Often, after a movie is released, the costumes receive wider popularity amongst the audience and thus becomes part of popular culture and mass product for the fashion industry. Makeup. Don't you still remember the look of Katappa in Bahubali? What about Count Dracula in the film Dracula? Can you forget Gabbar Singh in Sholay? Why don't we forget these characters? Is it because of their distinctive looks? What make them look different? It's primarily their makeup. Each subgenre of cinema follows different makeup conventions. In film aesthetics, makeup receives a major consideration. To the audience, makeup provides a clear indication to the time, place, gender, and ethnicity of the characters in the film. Makeup is also used to hide the identity markers of a character. Makeup is an important item that indicates the emotional temperament of a particular character at a particular scene in the film. Historical films, epic films, sci-fi films, action thrillers, melodrama, etc. have distinctive makeup principles. Even to make a character look natural, a certain amount of makeup is required. Makeup also plays an important role in the creation and maintenance of stardom and celebrity glamour in cinema. Amy Villarejo says that, quote, "Star images depend upon the idea that stars naturally look better than mere mortals and that their beauty shines forth with or without the efforts of a crew in the makeup truck." Unquote. Makeup both enhances and diminishes a character's appearance in the film. Often, makeup decisions focus on the manipulation of the facial appearance of characters. Hairstyling is also considered to be a part of makeup. The screen presence of a character can be radically manipulated by makeup. In film studies, makeup is a visual code that can communicate much information about a particular character even before she or he utters a single word in the scene. Makeup is crucial to signal the aging process of characters in a film. The platform of makeup artist is the human body. The makeup artist is an indispensable member of film crew because he or she transforms the actor into the character and helps the actor to impersonate the character both physically and emotionally. In films, the range of makeup styles can be anywhere between the natural and the fantastics. Some of the other examples of film makeup styles are corrective makeup, prosthetic makeup, and special effect makeup. Jeffrey Horn says, quote, "Makeup can add years to a young actor's face or smooth the wrinkles on an older actor. In war movies, makeup artists give ugly looking wounds and scars. In fight scenes, makeup often tells you who won and who lost." Unquote. The more invisible the makeup, the more it is appreciated. The challenge before the makeup artist is to make the artificial appearance look natural. Gretchen Davis and Mindy Hall opine that, quote, "Makeup artists are masters at illusion. They manipulate the shapes and features of the face and the body with their artistry. They cannot achieve this without how to correctly determine properties, shapes, and the anatomical structure of the body." unquote. It's also a fact that the mainstream makeup conventions blindly follow the dominant race's culture and understanding of human beauty and anatomy. In the early ages of film history, the makeup artists were not given their due recognition for their creative contribution to the films. However, since 1965, Academy Award for the Best Makeup Artist has been instituted. This is a welcome trend.